A lot to talk about. To get that perspective, Scott Lucas is with us. Scott, a professor of international politics at the University of Birmingham, also the founder and editor of EA Worldview, live this hour in Birmingham, England. Good to have you with us, Scott.
Great morning to you, George.
Let's start with the firing of the U.S. ambassador to the European Union, Gordon Sondland, and the Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Vindman, the top Ukraine expert at the National Security Council, dismissed. One Trump advisor reportedly described this as flushing out the pipes. How do you see it?
You want to call it flushing out the pipes, fine, but let's call it what it is. It is revenge. It is retribution. Donald Trump Jr. tweeted in celebration of it afterwards. Donald Trump Sr., the president, spent all day on Twitter yesterday spreading slanders against Alexander Vindman. Slanders that say he is disloyal, that say he should not have worn his military uniform when he testified before Congress. The crime of Alexander Vindman and of Gordon Sondland, who, remember, helped with the Trump-Giuliani campaign to pressure Ukraine, was to defy subpoenas and to testify. For that crime of actually accepting the congressional subpoenas and not breaking the law, they have been removed from their post. And in the case of Vindman, a decorated war veteran, the humiliation of escorting him from the White House by security guards. Last week, Republican senators such as Susan Collins justified their vote not to convict by Donald Trump by saying, okay, he might have acted inappropriately, but he'll learn from this. He'll do better. Well, this is what learning looks like, folks. Vindictive, angry that Mitt Romney voted with the Democrats. This is just the start of what Donald Trump will do and what his press secretary, Stephanie Grisham, called payback on Thursday.
All right, and now to a set of precedents. The first, what is the message to others in the administration who see something and feel compelled to say something?
Well, the message is the same that it has been for 3 years, not just over the Trump-Russia matter, the Trump-Ukraine matter, but any time Donald Trump has faced criticism over his actions, and that is, don't cross me. You may look at him as a man in the White House, but you may look at some of these actions as being the boss of a large organization who says to his subordinates, you stay in line. I don't want to necessarily compare this to a mob movie, but we need to know that this is what Trump's tactics are and that he is being enabled. There are those in his inner circle who helped him with the smears against Vindman yesterday. There are those who will help him today by smearing Sondland, even though he gave $1 million to Donald Trump's inaugural committee. And there will be those in Congress, such as Republicans, that will continue to excuse this kind of behavior.
Scott, briefly here, what precedent does it set, this impeachment trial? Does it set for the future other presidents when it comes to using the power of the office to get dirt on political rivals?
The precedent has been set not by the trial. The precedent has been set by Donald Trump. He is the one who worked with Russia during the 2016 election. He is the one who carried out an investigation with his personal attorney, Rudy Giuliani, for 10 months to get dirt on Joe Biden, to cover up Russia's interference in 2016 election. And the lesson is that any person, not just Donald Trump, can try to get away with this by screaming witch hunt or hoax and then exerting payback against anyone who crosses them.
All right, I want to pivot just briefly here to the Democratic debate that took place in New Hampshire. The former Vice President Joe Biden, he admitted on stage that he would take a hit in that stage in comparison to Bernie Sanders. Also, Mayor Pete Buttigieg has momentum right now. Who had a good night in that debate, Scott? Who had a tough night?
Well, George, let me just say it's a wide open race. And in addition to the three candidates you've named, Bernie Sanders, Pete Buttigieg, Joe Biden, Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren each got at least 13% of the votes from Iowa just a few days ago. I think all of the candidates showed they had strengths last night. Some of them also had stumbles. But I think what you've got here is a debate really on issues and on position. If you have a certain view of health care, you have a certain view of climate change, you might go for a Buttigieg or for a Biden or a Klobuchar. If you have a certain view regarding economic justice, you might go for an Elizabeth Warren. Or if you have a certain view regarding, for example, what you might call progressive policies, you go for Bernie Sanders. In other words, I think what comes out of New Hampshire is, even though it was a feisty debate, sometimes scrambled, this continues to be a rich debate in giving Americans a real choice, not just of a candidate, but of the issues that concern them as we go beyond the nomination and into the general election in November.
Scott Lucas giving us his take live in Birmingham, England. Good to have you with us, Scott. Thank you.